Hey, what's up, everybody? Um, Thank you for tuning in for another one of my videos. In this video, I'm going to be going over mainly energy and oil. I'll go over Bitcoin, Doge, and ETH quickly as well, um, and then a healthcare stock, and possibly Netflix at the end. But the main gist of this video is my thesis or bias of why I think energy could do well and possibly even better than crypto, to be honest. So we're just going to jump right into it. I got oil here on the weekly chart. So I'm going to go over just price action quickly. Um, the past this current weekly close that happened yesterday, Friday on the 23rd, it closed above the weekly 21 EMA, which is a good sign. If you go back, you can take a look at what happened after that. Usually, there's a decent chance that oil, and this is oil futures, by the way, crude oil futures. Um, there's a good chance that oil has continuation to the upside, and that could be into like the mid or higher 60s. Okay, if stuff gets really puppy, maybe 70. Um, Okay, but short term, if there's continuation, I'm thinking more of the mid to higher 60s on crude oil futures. All right. So that's the main thing on the weekly is closing above that 21 weekly EMA, right? And also something that I notice a lot, and it's just across all the markets. When you get like hammer candles like this, right? Like in this case, oil was trending up for a bit, and then it got a hammer candle. A lot of people probably short that thinking like, yeah, there's a lot of sellers there, but then prices continues and eats through that wick. I've seen that a lot, like even on shorter time frames. Doesn't matter what it is. It's the same idea. Don't know, just something I've noticed. It's something odd. I don't know. All right, but that closing above the weekly 21 EMA is a positive look for the futures on oil. And I believe on the monthly as well. Yeah, there's a big green dot coming in on the monthly for oil futures. Last one was that COVID crash, April over here. That was a fake out. 2002. Yeah, you don't really get this a lot. So it's a pretty interesting signal. And then on the monthly as well, if I'm going to assume that in the next month or two, that the 21's going to cross the 200, which 21's the purple, 200's the blue. Oil can rise into that happening. Okay, so again, that's also in the mid 60s. That's at currently $66. So again, confluence with mid 60s. Okay, um, we're gonna have to see as time goes if oil is going to heavily reject off that or continue going. Right. All right. Let me turn on my work I've done. Okay. And in green, I have a 5-year fractal. Okay. And it's followed decently. It's followed decently. It's not bad. Gets the trajectory there. You can form. I like to use these fractals, whatever I'm doing, that has the history for it, uh, to help me form a bias, an opinion, right? And some people say don't have a bias, or whatever. I like to have a bias. I do my best to be open minded, and as a trader, you have to be able to change and adjust. Okay, so I don't want to. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm completely negligent or arrogant to the fact that it doesn't have to work out that way. Okay, but this helps you form bias, and currently oil is trying to do. It is currently in a weekly uptrend since December. All right. I'll go down to the daily here in a second. But this 5-year fractal has an upside bias into the rest of this year. Okay. Uh, and I also believe seasonality wise, with February ha onward is like bullish seasonality, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I think so. I don't really look at seasonality like that. But other analysts that I do trust have spoken about that. February onward tends to have a bullish bias for crude oil. So that's also on the side of things as well. Okay, I'm going to go down to the daily now. Um, so this past week has been pretty choppy here, but still holding above that daily 21 moving average, right? It's getting tight between the 21 and the 200, potentially following a channel here. If Monday, Tuesday opens strong and continue upside, breaks above that January 14th high, could push oil close to that mid 60 level, right? $64, right? Um, it doesn't have to respect this channel. It could go up a little bit more. There is a resistance zone I have in red where previous price action has happened, right? Either rejection or supports, roughly, again, 65 to 68, mid to higher 60s. It's a really confluent zone for me that I'm seeing, right? Um, then you also have a downtrend line that broke out the beginning of January 9th, right? And if you take a measured move of that, that would put you at this red box in the mid 60s, 65. Okay, so I do strongly believe oil will get to at least the mid to higher 60s, and then possibly you find a little rejection at that point and consolidate before upside continuation again. All right, and you can see that here on the 5-year fractal. It's not perfect, doesn't have to play out like this, but just an idea. Help me out with timing. All right, if it can. Okay, at the end of the day, I want to look at how price action is forming too. Okay, um, so that's oil. I have a pretty bias, upside bias for the rest of this year. Um, Gold to oil ratios, I really pretty pretty destroyed. So if metals do have a pullback consolidation period or something, right, where they chill out, money can rotate from precious metals to something like oil, right? So don't really know about that, but you know, chart wise, it looks pretty promising. And mid to higher 60s, I think is a pretty high probability. So we'll see how this next week goes, right? So that's oil. And now I'm going to go into BTC futures versus oil futures. Right off the bat on the daily, there is a bear flag or a bear pennant, okay, that has been forming since November. It broke down this week. And um, it, it doesn't look good, okay? It has, it's bearish engulfing candle under two lows, right, on the daily. The 21 and the 200 are coming down. Momentum's to the downside. That's a pretty clean bear pennant. Um, I'll go to the 3 day. The 3 day on Market Cipher, we got the stochastic coming down, red dot confirmed on the 15th, and rejected off the 21 on the 3 day. It looks like it wants that 200 on the 3 day, which is about another 16% lower from where it's at now. And then if you go to the weekly, it is, I'm pretty sure when Monday opens or Sunday night opens up tomorrow, this weekly red dot will confirm. And again, it also rejected at the weekly 21 moving average. And that measure move target is down here at 935 and close to that 200 weekly moving average. So yeah, Bitcoin looks like it's going to get beat up by oil. And if that's the case, yeah, that would mean that oil is holding up better than Bitcoin on downside moves and also outperforming it on upside moves. If oil is outperforming something like Bitcoin, which has a lot of volatility, Bitcoin can move a lot. But if oil's not performing it, I don't see that as a good thing for crypto, right? So again, we're gonna have to see how it goes, but I don't like the picture. Okay, um, so yeah, and this is a logarithmic chart. Maybe there's some sort of pennant here, and eventually it can come down to here, the bottom side of this pennant. Just an idea. I look at it and I see that, so I put it there. But the main thing is that one day, the daily bearish pattern that formed and that 3 day and weekly downside momentum, it doesn't look the best. So this is another reason why I think energy, oil, and when I say energy, like energy stocks and oil itself could be a better investment or trade during this year, 2026. Okay. Um, One of my favorite energy stocks, it's I'll it's one of my favorite, and I hold it myself in both my Roth and personal portfolio. Um, it is Chevron, CVX. Now, I've had a few charts. This is the one that I just left and stuck with. This is the last one I made. But I have pulled up other charts. I'm sure I've showed it in videos, or and I know I've showed it for a fact on Twitter, of multiple fractals where like a 5, 10, 20, 30 year are bullish into, 2027, 2020, maybe even 2030s. Now, this chart does not have those fractals here, but it does have, a sine wave cycle here on the bottom where at the bottom, the troughs of the sine wave into the peaks of the sine wave coincide with upwards momentum for Chevron. Okay, and this made it this troughed in February 2023, and since then Chevron has been forming a massive monthly bull flag and possibly just confirmed a breakout of that flag this month. Potentially, it has to. There's another 5 days for this to close, but this does close above. What is it? 162. Um, I'm going to see that. I would see that as a breakout of this bull flag on the monthly chart. Okay, and again, this is a monthly chart. It's going to take time to play out, but that would be extra confirmation that this is bullish, and it could be bullish for quite a while. Um, Going into again the end of the decade, 2030, 2031. Um, so it seems pretty early to the energy trade now. So that's just my opinion. I'm in it. Um, that I feel the charts back it up. So I'm not just trying to show my own bags. Uh, and yeah, I have three measure moves with this bull flag. One smaller one's around like 220, 325, and getting crazy, but 600 on Chevron. That could come in time. This I wouldn't expect this thing to move like some tech stock. Okay, I'm sure it's going to take time. But when a stock like this does tend to trend up, it trends up. It's a slow grind up, which is awesome. Okay, much better than how crypto's been for the past over a year. So again, another chart that fits my bias of energy can do well this year um, over crypto. Uh, so yeah, all right. Now I'm gonna look at ETH really quick. So it's a very simple chart. This is the ETH futures chart, CME. On the weekly here, this is not long, by the way. It's just a regular chart. It's uh, it's a range, right? It's a range between 4,900 and 1,300. Do I think ETH is going to 1,300? I think it is possible. Don't know, don't care. I don't hold any ETH, but if it does trade down to 1,300, I would like to be a buyer, for sure. at there or in that area. So yeah, just the weekly chart view is a this is a range. It looks like a range. And if it trade looks like a range, trades like a range, it's probably a range. I'm on the daily now. Again, you got a bear flag here or a bearish sort of pattern. Um, it, it can't get over these EMAs. Now it closed under this flag. Okay, two daily closes under. I don't like that. It's not a good thing. It's definitely more biased to the downside for sure. Um, so I guess we're just going to have to see how this next week goes. But this does follow through to the downside. The measured move of this flag is down to the range low at 1300, which is interesting. If this flag is still respected and it comes back into this, then there's all the possibility that the top of this flag and these downtrend lines just confluence. ETH maybe can get to 37 to 3900. Um, Again, we're just going to see. I'm taking it day by day when it comes to crypto. Um, just I I'm not in any trades on a crypto. It's I don't like what I see. Like I don't have an edge here, so to say. So I'm just waiting. Um, but I don't like it though. It doesn't look good to me, and that's just to me. I know I made a video earlier this month talking about a bull case for crypto, and I did say in that video that sometime in February, early February, mid February, maybe it's end of February, but sometime in February there could be a low that is a good low, and could be a buy into um, April, May, maybe June, but April, May. Uh, that time period could be a peak. So I'm still thinking about that, and that idea is still there. It's in my journal. I have not forgotten about that. So we're getting closer to that February point. Just right now, I can't make a decision on crypto right now. Uh, and I want to look at really quick Tau. Uh, I had here that this would be a buy zone. It looks to me like it's a sell zone, right? Between January 1st and January 23rd. Possibly this midpoint February could be the buy zone. So inverse of what I thought before, and then it could rise into March or April. So these could be sell zones potentially. Um, just an idea. Like if you look at Tau, it is just a big overage, and it did not tap those lows. I think there's a good shot it does. We're gonna have to see, getting into this month and into February. Really quick, Doge. This fractal is the 2021 bear market fractal, like from the top. And I put it over here to October 6th because that's when Bitcoin did a top, right? It's been following pretty decently, Doge. Potentially beginning of February, there's a little high, and then there's more downside or chop in this range for Doge. Um, yeah, I got other fractals. I think I'm just going. I'll leave it here for now. I haven't looked at it in a while, but it's been following this orange one. Um, Again, I don't really like. I don't have a decision here on crypto, so besides it mainly downside bias until I want to see it in the beginning of February mainly, see what it looks like in February. Uh, so yeah, Doge. I have another Doge chart. This purple fractal is from last year when the 21 crossed the 200 on the daily. Okay, and it's not perfect but not bad. Again, similar to that orange fractal and other chart. This has a beginning of February. This is end of January, close to that beginning of February too. Interesting. And then more downside bias. Interesting. Yeah. Also, there's Mercury retrograde happening in February into mid March, I believe. Um, from my experience, Mercury retrogrades usually aren't the best for tech and crypto. So, yeah, I don't know. It's rough. Um, This Jenkins style chart here for Bitcoin, it's just freaking choppy, man. It rejected the standard resistance. Um, yeah, Bitcoin could see, I mean, close to 80, 82s, 83s again. Don't really know. But I want to, I like this Bitcoin chart because these lines could be supports. Just gonna have to see what it looks like at the time. Um, Again, similar to ETH, Bitcoin bear flag on the daily, rejecting off the EMAs. It's the same idea as ETH. Like, if this actually plays out, 60s, don't know. There's an uptrend line here on the long chart around 80, 79K. Um, the Blueprint Square 9 here on the daily, the last key date, like in blue, the vertical, that was a short, a short, a short. This was a long. This one looks. If I had to make a decision, I would short. Um, because it broke under the spare flag. It's under the daily 21 moving average. It looks more like a downside bias to me. But that's what I would do. I could very well be wrong. Hope I am. Don't want to see Bitcoin go down. But what it is what it is. Um, we're gonna see how this plays out. Right. Um, so I went over Chevron. Oh, here's another stock I like a lot for this year and even for into 27, 2028, possibly even longer than that. But for this, at least this year into next year, I like this healthcare stock, Merck, MRK. Weekly money flow went green, right? I'll turn that off now. But this has had some nice upside since May of last year. And why don't I have the moving averages here? Whatever. Um, Going off the fractals here, it's upside bias at least into May of 26, um, but mainly into summer of next year, like August of 2027. I see a major upside bias on this thing, um, and it kind of goes to show what this year could be like um, for the markets. Like if healthcare does well, this is a healthcare company, so if this does well, energy looks like it could do well, industrials are doing well. It kind of goes to show that money is rotating, right? I don't know. I'm on the side that crypto doesn't do anything crazy this year. So I could be wrong, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, we got to trade and invest, make our decisions on what the market's giving us. And right now, I mean, this healthcare stock looks great. Energy looks great. Crypto currently doesn't look great in my book. So yeah, I would really like to see for crypto what next month looks like because I feel like next month could bring some great. If there is more downside bias, like if there's more downside coming in crypto, it could bring great opportunity for a swing trade into April, May. So okay, there's that. I like that, but I have to see for myself what stuff starts to shape up like in that time period. So. Oh yeah, I wanted to put this in people's face. MRK healthcare stock. It looks great. Weekly uptrend. It's in a buy period right now, going off the cycles. Um, and as long as it stays above, I'd say 99, 96 for sure. It I think it's trending to new highs over time. Uh, Tether dominance. This is the daily. Uh, Rising moving averages. It broke back above the 21, broke above the high of earlier this month. Um, it's if this thing's going up, it ain't good for crypto. So it's interesting. Does that look like it looks kind of flaggy, doesn't it? Looks a little flaggy, like a bull flag. Yeah, man, I don't know. It this doesn't look good for crypto, man. Sucks, sucks. I'm just charting what I see. Does not look good. Definitely want to see what February brings for crypto. I think there's a good shot of more downside, but it could bring major opportunity. So I'm going to set alerts here for tether dominance. If tether dominance starts trading into this box up here, I think there will be initial rejection. It's not going to go right through it. There's going to be, I think there will be initial rejection. Just eyeballing it right off the bat here, and it could be a great buy, a swing trade for crypto, a low risk trade. Okay, for crypto, not financial advice. Okay, don't listen to a random guy on YouTube. Just share my ideas here. Doge versus Snapchat, potentially going to break down here on the weekly. Yeah. I have Doge versus MRK. Yeah, downtrend, major downtrend on the weekly. Even that's a downtrend on the monthly as well. Same thing against Chevron. Yeah, does not look the best. I'll end off with this Netflix. Um, I do hold this. I just bought this week. It hit a this is a third tap of the support here. Sentiment is horrible on Netflix. Um, it just had its earning and it gapped down after. I would have liked to see the 50%, which is at the weekly 200 moving averager here, get hit, but it didn't. Maybe it gets front run. So I started a position in Netflix, and I'm looking at this as a swing trade and possibly even a long term investment. Just want to see how it shapes up over time. But I did put a long term position in my Roth IRA. My personal account, it could be a long term position or at least a swing trade. Um, but going off the fractals here, which have been following pretty well, it's a 5, 10, and 20 year on Netflix here. Um, and to the end of the decade, this thing could do phenomenally well. 2027 could bring a buying opportunity again, though, but we're not there yet. So we're just trading at this current time where we're at. And right now, next week and onward, I would. It looks like there's upside bias into April, April, uh, early to end of April. There could be upside bias for Netflix. And looking at the fractals, what it's done before, it looks like it's been choppy at this period of time. So if this is a range and this $82 is the low part of the range and the higher parts of the range are, looking at the volume area, 97 bucks, 109, 120. So I like this. I like this setup. Maybe some people don't. I like this. And long term, Netflix, it's the end of the decade. If this thing bottomed out or it's going to go lower, I think people should watch this one. And it brings some great opportunity for sure. So, want to leave off with that. Netflix, I like it. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. And thank you very much if you watched the whole thing. Um, Peace out. Good luck. See you in the next one.